Bitcoin remains the most decentralized and censorship-resistant blockchain there is out there. No matter what else launches, Bitcoin remains the most secure, and I'm yet to see anything that proves otherwise. However, there are two major failings of Bitcoin that most people are aware. It is a lack of functionality, and it is the lack of speed that the blockchain can offer. Now, as many of you out there will know, over the last 18 months, the Bitcoin ecosystem has massively expanded. We've had the likes of ordinals, then BRC20 tokens, we've had runes recently. So that has drawn a lot of eyes and a lot of attention. So it has become a really, really hot narrative. And that means that there are opportunities in the Bitcoin ecosystem that we can take advantage of as crypto investors. Therefore, in today's review, I want to introduce you to one of the OG Bitcoin DeFi plays in this ecosystem that is not only increasing Bitcoin's functionality, but most recently, it is also increasing Bitcoin's speed. And the OG Bitcoin DeFi play that I want to take you through today is called Sovryn. Before I dive into Sovryn, as always, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button down below. And if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And of course, if you want to get notified when I post more videos, hit the bell notification too. And if you have no idea where to start in the realm of crypto, I put out a weekly newsletter called 80/20 Crypto, which focuses on the 20% of crypto that yields 80% of returns. There is a lot of rubbish out there in the crypto industry. It is a minefield to navigate. And I want people who are getting interested in this industry to navigate it safely. So that is the best place to head to. I'll leave a link to the newsletter in the description down below. Now, with all of that being said, let's dive into Sovryn. As I've already mentioned, Sovryn is sometimes thought of as one of the OG Bitcoin DeFi applications out there. And what that means is that if you wanted to, over the last couple of years, trade or lend assets on the Bitcoin blockchain, Sovryn was one of very few places that you could go to. Think along the lines of Uniswap and Aave, but for Bitcoin. Now, the reason why Sovryn can offer so much functionality while offering the security of the Bitcoin blockchain is because it leverages something called Rootstack. So Rootstock is a Bitcoin native sidechain that offers smart contract flexibility while deriving its security from Bitcoin. So we can see here, build together on Bitcoin, Ethereum virtual machine compatible smart contracts platform designed for a freer, fairer, and more decentralized world. And how this works with Sovryn is that when people want to use the Sovryn application, they can take their Bitcoin and put it onto the Rootstock sidechain, and in return you get this RBTC. So RBTC is the token that you receive if you deploy BTC onto the Rootstock blockchain, the sidechain. So, and there is a 1-to-1 peg there. So for every 1 BTC you deposit, you get 1 RBTC on the Rootstock sidechain. Then that RBTC can be used in applications such as Sovryn. So you can then start to trade and you can start to lend. Now, there are several aspects to the Sovryn application that are worth mentioning. Through Sovryn, users can convert. So you can convert cryptocurrencies through Sovryn's DEX. You can also lend assets through Sovryn's 0% interest platform. And most recently, you can also access a Bitcoin-backed stablecoin called the Sovryn Dollar. The idea behind this Bitcoin-backed stablecoin is that it aims to improve upon the centralized stablecoin options that are existing today, such as the USDCs and USDTs of the world. However, Sovryn is now evolving into something else. And there's a reason why it has, in big letters, introducing Bitcoin OS on its webpage front and center. But before we get into that, I want to dive into Sovryn's history. And this is a little bit about its story. So Sovryn was founded back in 2020. As we can see here, it was born during the COVID crisis of 2020, which suddenly revealed how dangerously corrupt and inadequate our centralized institutions had become. And it goes on to say that there then were a group of Bitcoin developers that wanted to make a change and bring about a change in this failing centralized institutional economy. Individuals need to build decentralized alternatives, and that is what Sovryn wanted to become, a decentralized alternative to be able to lend and borrow secured by the Bitcoin blockchain. So a Sovryn manifesto was first published in 2020, and then the Sovryn DAO, which is the governing body for Sovryn, was launched in 2021. Sovryn's DAO is now called the Sovryn Bitocracy, and it gives weighted voting rights to participants based on their staked SOV. SOV being the native token of Sovryn. So no single entity can make decisions or changes to the system. So this is Sovryn's DAO, and this steers all of the development directions of the platform. In terms of leadership for Sovryn, we have Eden Yago, who we can see on the screen right here. And this is a guy that has vast experience in the Bitcoin ecosystem. He has founded several companies before, focused in and around Bitcoin. And so he is one of the co-founders of Sovryn. The rest of the team are all doxed, and they can also be found on platforms such as LinkedIn, which is also really, really good to see. And then finally, we come back to this Bitcoin OS. This is a brand new direction for Sovryn. Reading the literature, it suggests that Sovryn is developed into three phases. The first is this DeFi application. So the first idea was to build the leading ecosystem of Bitcoin native DeFi tools, allowing people to trade, lend, and borrow. Then this second phase, which Sovryn is now entering, is about building a scalable protocol for trustless smart contracts on Bitcoin. So although Sovryn up to now has been using rootstock, it has been developing its own layer 2 effectively for the Bitcoin ecosystem. And it is claiming that this is going to outperform all other layer 2 options in the Bitcoin ecosystem, including the Lightning Network. So this is a really interesting pivot from Sovryn. We've already seen it establish itself as a DeFi contender in the Bitcoin ecosystem space, but now it is morphing into this DeFi application that is also going to be transitioning onto its own mainnet, which is going to be the Bitcoin OS. And then I imagine that other applications that want to build within that ecosystem will also have the opportunity to build and come and build inside Bitcoin OS as well. Now we come to Sovryn's native token, which is SOV. So SOV is the primary utility and governance token of the Sovryn ecosystem, and it's used for three main things. It's used for the Bitocracy, so it's used for voting rights to steer Sovryn's development direction. It's used for risk mitigation in case things go wrong with the platform, and it's also used as a fee collection protocol. So fees on the platform are paid for in SOV. And this is all usual stuff, right? So to get involved in the Bitocracy, you have to be staking your SOV on the platform. That then generates a share of revenue fees. So a percentage of revenue fees are distributed to Sovryn stakers, and you also get the opportunity to vote. Now, what about SOV's tokenomics? Well, we can see that at the moment, the market cap for this token is 104 million. So it puts it in the small cap to almost micro cap category of altcoins. And of the 100 million SOV coins that are in the maximum supply, we can see that on CoinMarketCap, 59%, they believe 59 or just under 60% are now in circulation. However, based on the literature that I read on this, the circulating supply doesn't include the number of SOV tokens that are staked in the protocol. So as of January 2024, this stood at 34 million. And then finally, quickly looking at the price, we can see the token launched back in mid-2021, early to mid-2021, I believe. Then we had a big price spike around October, so near the all-time highs for Bitcoin, where we saw it climb to approximately $36 around that mark. And then throughout the bear market, we've just seen it crumble. More and more inflation, I'm guessing, over the years. But most recently, we've seen a slight uptick in activity. If we drop to the yearly time frame, we can see that from the lows of 19 cents, we have now climbed up to where we are currently, which is $1.75, 74 cents. We can check this at the market cap. We can see that the market cap has been climbing since November time 2023. Now, although market cap has been climbing, we've obviously had a lot of inflation of coins because price hasn't moved as effectively as the market cap. So clearly there are way more coins in circulation, tokens in circulation now than there were back in 2021. I now want to take a look at the upsides for the Sovryn token. What could drive the price of SOV higher as we move into the next phase of this crypto bull run? And the first thing that I want to comment on here is that it has positioned itself at the heart of Bitcoin DeFi. So for those migrating potentially from other blockchains such as Ethereum, Sovryn is likely going to be one of the first places they stop, which is really, really good. There aren't many competitors out there that do a a comparable job or a better job than Sovryn does right now. Then secondly, despite the total value locked falling throughout the bear market, we have most recently seen an uptick in TVL, and we can see that since approximately March, April last year, we have seen TVL start to rise and climb higher, not matching previous 2021 highs, but it is climbing, which is a good indicator to see. If it continues, then it's likely the price of SOV will follow. And then next, Bitcoin's ecosystem is expanding. Last year, we saw the launch of ordinals, as I've already mentioned. Then we had BRC20 tokens off the back of that. Last month, we saw the launch of runes, this brand new way of launching fungible tokens on Bitcoin. And Sovryn, as we can see here, is already taking and capitalizing on those developments. So if Bitcoin functionality continues to grow, Sovryn is really well positioned to capture that attention. And then finally, I want to talk to the market cap, because the market cap of the SOV token is still incredibly small in comparison to other Bitcoin ecosystem coins. So for example, now that Sovryn is moving into this layer 2 kind of niche outside of the realm of DeFi, it now moves into a competitive area with the likes of Stacks. So using Stacks' native STX token, we can kind of get a viewpoint on where we think SOV might climb to in the future. So if we put in SOV's price, which I have done here, and STX's price, which I have done here, the difference is a 30x. And that's using the price of STX now. If we change to the STX all-time high, it's a 51x from current prices. So that is if the SOV token accumulates the same market cap as STX. Now, what about the downsides here? We need to take into account both the upsides and downsides for every altcoin project we look at. There are always risks with these protocols. Doesn't matter what you're looking at. So what are the key risks for Sovryn? And the first thing that I want to say here is that the Bitcoin ecosystem is becoming quite crowded. It is becoming a really competitive space. We have seen the launch of multiple DeFi apps and layer 2s. And while Sovryn was the OG in terms of the competition that has come out over the last 18 months is now a real threat. And then to make that competition even worse, the adoption of the Bitcoin ecosystem is not a guaranteed. Although me personally, I'm biased. I think Bitcoin does hold so much potential because it is the most secure, most decentralized, and most censorship resistant. That may not be the view that is shared by many, and it isn't the view shared by many. Many in the industry think that Bitcoin should be primarily used as a store of value, and that functionality should be left, such as smart contracts should be left to blockchains such as Ethereum or Solana. And then finally, I want to say that understandably, the price of SOV is heavily correlated with the price of Bitcoin. That's why it is a great Bitcoin beta play. However, while that's good when the price of Bitcoin is increasing, it does mean that if the dominance of Bitcoin starts to fall, SOV might not be able to perform as well as other altcoins in the market because it will have the weight of Bitcoin dragging it down. And then the final thing that I want to mention here is that we have to take into account smart contract risk. Like any DeFi application, smart contracts can go wrong. And if anything does go wrong, that is going to really hurt the price of SOV. And that's everything that I wanted to share with you on the Sovryn DeFi application. The Bitcoin ecosystem has been one of my favorite plays for this crypto bull market. I am ultimately investing for a Bitcoin endgame. And I think Bitcoin is one of the safest investments in the world right now. This means that altcoins like SOV, Sovryn's native coin, is attached to a narrative that I think has the potential to do very well in the future. However, like every niche, it carries a lot of risk. Now, if you would like my final opinion on whether I think this altcoin is going on my altcoin shortlist or not, that is limited to my 80/20 crypto newsletter subscribers. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'll leave a link to the newsletter down below for those interested. There's no denying the adoption of DeFi in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and Sovryn has positioned itself pretty well so far in terms of capturing some of that adoption. So let me know what you think. Do you think Sovryn is going to be the dominant DeFi application in Bitcoin's ecosystem, or do you think there are better applications out there? That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.